Welcome back to Doug Pagitt Radio on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and over at DougPagittRadio.com. Our final hour, and not just of today.
I think it should be the aggressive voice of Minnesota.
It's not just our final hour of the Doug Pagitt Radio show. Religious radio is not quite right. For this Sunday, which we have had a 2-hour radio program for the last 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. It's our final program here on the station. And so thrilled to have had you along as listeners. If you're a regular...
Farewell, liberals.
If as you have been a part of our radio conversation of trying to have a more progressive religious conversation, we hope the best for you, and have appreciated so much your willingness to listen to the radio program and to our desire to inject a positivist, broad, hope-filled, open-armed religious conversation into the lexicon. And we have appreciated so much the good work of AM 950 and of all the listeners. And we know some of you have tracked with us from 10 a.m. in the morning till noon when we had that slot, 11 to 1. Noon to 2 now, and starting in June, you'll be able to find us over at other places on the internet. And we can't speak all about it, but some kind of a TV presence too that's also in the works. So we're not going away.
The lawyers are working on.
Yeah, we're not going away, but the programming format will change from this time to other. So those of you who've gotten used to us in your car radios or in your showers, I know a lot of people like to listen to the radio when they're in the shower. In fact, a person who lives in my house today was singing it out in the shower today with the radio playing, and I remember that as a teenager. I've stopped that as an adult, listening to the radio in the shower for some reason, but that used to be a big deal. In fact, they used to even sell radios for the shower.
Yeah.
Like what is it about that caused people to want to have music?
Well, that's actually come all the way around. Now, look in high-end bathrooms. I mean, they have like these Bose stereo systems.
Oh, is that so?
In the shower.
In the shower. Mm-hmm. Well, so I've sort of imagined that maybe people have taken us along with them when they take their Sunday morning in the past, or currently their Sunday afternoon showers.
While they're getting clean on the outside, they can be getting clean on the inside by listening to our program.
So if you're going to be missing your little shower buddies here from Doug Pagitt Radio, we hate
you're going to be missing us in the shower with you.
Yeah. We hate to leave you stranded. But it's going to be happening because the AM 950 version of the radio program will come to an end in now less than 50 minutes.
Yeah, less than an hour.
Yeah. We're closing in on it. By the numbers. Let's do a little by the numbers reflection on a radio program.
Okay,
shall we? Mm-hmm. By our count. And I know that numbers should just be definitive. You should just be able to count and know exactly the numbers. We think this number is right without going through without going through too much work.
Without actually counting?
Without going through too much work. We think these numbers are correct. Now, if someone wants to get all pokey about it and, total it up, we might be, a rounding error off.
There's a plus or minus of...
think about it like the banking industry. I don't know. It was close.
Right.
We were close. Mm-hmm. Like the people who work in the sperm donor shops. We're close.
Yeah.
Some probably not your relative, maybe.
We're the Russian judge.
All right. So by the numbers, we have done 135 shows.
Ho!
2 hours a week. Mm-hmm. 270 hours of programming.
Wow.
I don't know if that's a lot or not. It's just a number.
Yes.
It seems like a lot to me.
Right.
That's been a lot of fulfillment. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Brian. Could you do the quick math? 270 hours.
He's a musician.
Times
he can't do that.
Times 50 or 48 minutes of programming per show. 270 times 48. How many minutes of programming have we done?
Give me a minute.
Okay. We'll give you a minute and make sure you get this right.
What was that formula you gave him? Was it
the 270 hours?
Yeah.
And 48 minutes per hour of programming.
Oh, okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what it is. I think it comes to 48
if it's fair
hours.
or not, but
I think it comes to 40 because you got commercials, you got the bumper at the beginning and the end for the news. You got programming hours to fill. Mm-hmm. So anyway, 135 weeks, 2 shows a week. Some of them done live. You got it? How many minutes of programming have we provided over the last 2.5 years?
12,960.
12,960 minutes.
You're welcome, people.
And you've got to be telling me, people at the Marconi Awards, you couldn't find 60 minutes in there that was award winning.
How can people not feel empty? I mean, that there's going to be a void with that much radio.
I don't know what your next 2.5 years involve, but you've got 12,970 minutes of top quality radio programming to fill with something else. I don't know how you're going to do this.
Yeah, what else are you going to do on
that was 270 shows, right?
270 shows.
So we would have to multiply that by 2 because you do 2 hours.
No, yeah, so sorry, 270 shows over 135 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I already factored that in. This is all of a sudden becoming a word problem.
Yeah.
If a radio show plays
Right.
two hours a week for 135 weeks, and people are listening on a train going from New York, how many minutes of programming do they
If
listen
our listeners
to?
were missing us, it's starting to wane.
Yeah, they're starting to say, boy, I can't wait to get a little Purity Products ad rolling after this. Can we hurry up for the
Q10?
the Coke Q10 advertisement? That would be awesome. Hey, if you've got any reflections on the show as we do the by numbers and some highlights.
Come on, pick up the phone.
952-946-6205. You can also find us over at Facebook or on Twitter, Pagitt, Pagitt on Twitter if you wanted to tweet us. We'd be glad to have your comments. That's the phone number again, 952-946-6205. If you've got a little reminiscence, a little word for the radio program, or just your final comment, or maybe you've wanted to call in all the time. Maybe you've had a bone to pick. I don't even know what that phrase means. I'd love to know the origination of that phrase.
Ew.
Someone has a bone to pick.
Rather not.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a positive situation in which that phrase was used in parlance and it became I want to tell you something in particular. Maybe you do. All right, so by the numbers, 135 programs, 270 hours, 12,900, almost 13,000 minutes of programming. We've dedicated a lot to this, and if you've listened to every one of these programs, as we know, Mike Stavlin, you have. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if we could give you back those 12,900 minutes, we would do it.
That's a lot of breakfasts together, Doug.
You and I have done a lot of breakfast together. Yeah, 100 or more.
Yeah.
Breakfast, getting ready for the show. That's meaningful. Yeah. Yeah. We have gone through 6. No, I shouldn't say gone through. We have benefited from the skills of 6 producers on the show that run the board, answer the phones, make the connections happen. 6 different people. So thank you to Justin. Thank you to Grover. Thank you to Glenn. Thank you to Randon. Thank you to Will. And thank you to our current producer, Brian. These people have all. We've outlasted a lot of you. We're not going to outlast that Brian. He's got New Mexico, kind of longevity in him.
Oh,
we're not going to. We're not going to be able to save him.
But once he wins that award, he's going to bigger and better things.
Yeah, he's getting out of here too. Hey, Lee from St. Paul on the line. Hey, Lee.
Well, I just want to tell you that you've done a good job over the years. There's been a time when I've been a bit depressed, and I tuned in and listened to you, and you picked up my spirits. I think you have a unconventional, good common sense about life and stuff, and you've done a great job.
Oh, Lee, that is meaningful. Thank you so much.
Can I say one other thing real quick?
Please, say what you like.
There's this Twilight Zone episode where this guy, he dies and finds himself in the afterlife.
Yeah.
And it's like perfect utopia. Everything he wants, he can have. And at first, it's glorious and wonderful, but as eternity is a long time.
Yeah.
So as time goes on and on and on, he starts to get bored, and eventually he begins to get terribly miserable. So I don't know, the human condition is such that we can only enjoy wonderful things for so long before we get tired of them. So I think that's why life has the problems and the ups and downs it has. It makes it sustainable.
Lee, I like that a lot. I think I remember that episode too.
You have your bad times, but without the mix, you couldn't. It would just become horrible.
Oh, I'm with you, Lee. They go together. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Thanks for listening to the station, but also for listening to the show.
Thanks, Lee.
You've done a great job.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks a lot. That's awful nice of Lee from St. Paul.
Oh,
at 952-946-6205. Anybody else wants to call and say nice things like that?
Yeah, right. Please do.
We'll run the hours over and over. So if you've got
come back next week if you want to call in.
We're willing to put it in another week if somebody's got nice things to say. We have sure appreciated the opportunity to chat with all the callers. People call in on the show. We've had these fantastic guests. We'll talk about some of our guests here in a little bit. But knowing that that folks are out there and listening has been what's made this meaningful.
Yeah.
When people often ask, "What's your favorite thing about doing the radio show?" I would often say to them, just knowing that we have these people out there who are listening, who are chatting, who are talking with us, who we know are part of it. Whether or not we've given them enough time to call in at 952-946-6205 or not, we know that many weeks go by where we're so filled with programming and other babblings that people don't always have a chance to call in. But we know that they're there, and we know that they've been listening. It's been just really great. So thanks to guys like Lee and the other 6 or 7 people who've listened to the radio program over all these minutes.
Hey, cat lady, thank you. And person who collects the newspapers and fills their house with newspapers, thank you.
Thank you. So we have had, by our totals, 117 guests on the radio program. 117 people, if my counting was right, that we've invited to be guests to tell us about what they're doing. Books they've written, television programs that they've been involved in, dramas that they've done, stores that they've opened. We have tried to encourage the connection of the listening audience to all of these other folks. So to the 117 different guests who have given of their time to be on our radio show, we couldn't be happier. We appreciate it. We appreciate it so much. We've been in 3 time slots, and that's been encouraging. That's been interesting to be Sunday morning radio.
That's a spin.
Be put in the afternoon and be afternoon driving around radio. And so those people have come with us and gone with us from one things to the other, and it's been great. So if you're up for if you're interested in keeping up with Doug Pagitt Radio, we would certainly be glad to do that. You can stay connected over Doug Pagitt Radio or on Facebook if you're there. That's where we're going to be putting up the notifications of all the new things that are coming for the radio personalities, the voices, and the perspective that you've heard here. It's not disappearing from the world, but the format that has cared for it so well here on AM 950 won't be doing so after this afternoon's program. So stick with us here, because natural health coach Shelley Pagitt comes with her final tips in the tip jar on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and DougPagittRadio.com.